Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aries for May 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and definitely sign up for my free email newsletter where you become part of my community. And one of the big perks you get is I do a write-up for the month ahead, and I send it to you a month early that gives you dates and other information that I talk about in the horoscopes, the general transits, so that you have them for your planning purposes. So what is going on in the month of May? We've got movement and manifestation to the max. I'm calling the theme for Aries all about you, and you love it, right? Aries energy loves to have the energy be about them. And it's not necessarily all Aries want everyone looking at them, but we want to be in our own flow, right? And just do our things without anybody messing with us, without people getting in the way. I say we because I have Aries rising, and it's a very strong component of my personality. So I really get this energy, and we're in a time period where Venus, Mercury are in Aries, two personal planets moving through Aries. We've got Mars and Gemini, which is an air sign, which is fueling the fire. And even though the sun is in Taurus for part of the month, or for most of the month, then the sun moves into Gemini, and there's just this energy of fire and air that is so supportive to how you are and who you are. You might notice that around this time every year you get really rambunctious. I notice that I get really rambunctious when the planets start moving into Aries. Sometimes that starts in March, in March and April and May. I'm just like very hard to contain. And so you have a massive amount of power at this time. This is a power period for you. This is about everything that is how you are, what your desires are, how energy moves through you. And it just happens to be that now, even though we've had some energy in Aries for a while, it's only now in May that we can start to do more outward things with it. Aries is a fire sign. It's very action oriented. And it wants actions like results like now, like yesterday, in the very tangible planes. So we've been in this retrograde cycle where we've been having to go back over things, having to move slowly through things, and having to, get patience and be inward and internal. And that's not really Aries' natural style. So now it's jiving. The planet's still moving through Aries, and that's thanks to the retrogrades kind of dragging them along a little bit, that we're here in May and have so much energy. Even when there aren't planets in Aries in May, the Gemini energy spins our Aries energy out. So you might notice that even when there aren't planets accentuating the Aries spot, that at this time of year just the air itself fuels you. But in any case, so we've got a free time to actually do something in the external realms with this, because May 3rd, Mercury goes direct at 24 degrees of Aries. There's a little bit of a, several days where it's more chaotic, even though it's officially direct. You want to steer kind of clear. I'm using May 9th as my day, unless I'm feeling it a few days earlier and Spirit's really clear about moving forward on something. I'm using that energy, that time, because there's a nice aspect with the sun and Pluto to start the manifestation, the movement, the activity. You're going to be plenty busy anyway, because Gemini is going to be just making you think a lot and talk a lot and move a lot and just be mobile and be all over the place and have all kinds of things going. But as far as your big decisions, making your big decisions, your launches, your things like that, you want to wait until at least May 9th to start to move things forward. Unless, like I said, Spirit's really clear the few days before that. Because you don't want Mercury to be retrograde or just going direct when you're trying to push something forward. Because it's a little bit chaotic, it's disorganized, and it's not. If you've been waiting for this long, you may as well wait. You've got plenty of dates, which I'll get more into this month for doing things, which is our favorite thing to do, isn't it? Okay, so the first house is being strongly accentuated for all Aries placements. The second house is also being strongly accentuated, lit up for early, middle, and late degree Aries placements. The second house has to do with money. It has to do with values. It has to do with things that we think are important. So that could be anything from a stuffed animal that has value to us to a very expensive piece of jewelry or a very expensive car. You know, the value may or may not have something that has a high price tag. That luxury items and sentimental items are still grouped in the same house with this Taurus energy. So we could see increases to income. We could see new money sources. We could see new expenses, but usually with the income to support that. You know, a new way of looking at things, a new value system. Just a big focus on material things, and even in there is sustainable projects. You know, like gardening. Because Taurus rules like indulgences, like luxuries, you know, financial material luxuries, but it also rules the other end of the spectrum, which is sustainably living with the earth. So any projects anywhere along that spectrum can be accentuated at this time. The full moon for the early and some middle degree placements is going to happen in the 8th house. The rest of the middle and late degree placements are going to have that full moon in the 7th house. What all Aries placements have in common with this full moon is that it's happening in a partnership house. So fullness, fruition, completion, coming to a head, coming into being with relationships. A stressful relationship fight, something hidden in relationship coming to light, for better or worse. You know, sometimes full moons can be very stressful for anybody, but for people who are more action oriented, it's not. Of course, we're all sentient beings, everyone, including, even if you have an Aries friend that you think doesn't have any feelings, all of your Aries friends have feelings. They're just more action oriented sometimes, depending. Like if you're on the cusp between Aries and Pisces, you might be more Pisces emotional and not like what you think an Aries would be. You know, it just depends on your particular amount of ingredients here. You know, they're like ingredients in a person pie. But in any case, but the full moon requires us to feel. And we kind of want to just go do stuff usually, right? So it can be a little bit uncomfortable. And especially when the full moon is in a water sign, excuse me, there's more feeling that's going on. And the feeling is being put into these emotional, you know, the energy of relationship. So something emotional in relationship is very likely for the Aries placements. And that could be a wonderful experience with your partner or with somebody, or it can be a stressful experience. And the energy of Scorpio being there makes it more likely that something hidden could come to light. But again, the thing that's hidden could come to light could be something that you're finding out about your partner that now is like a game changer in a bad way. Or it could be something about your partner that you didn't see before, like an aspect of them that is coming out now that was hidden, maybe even to them, you know, and that could be a very positive thing. So I like to, leave a little room around the full moons, you know, so that you have more time to feel and to be with whatever it is that's coming up, for better or worse. So these are the things that are most on my mind for Aries placements. I just want to give a little word about manifestation because there's so much energy and fire in the air, and that's just how we are, and we like action, we like results. We live in a heliocentric experience. So the sun is at the center of our reality. And the sun in the chart represents our desires, our wants, what makes us light up. So I believe that we are here having an experience where we're intended to be consciously co-creating for the fun of it. You know, and sometimes things we create are definitely not fun, and there are definitely things in the world going on that are not fun. But nonetheless, regardless of all of that, we are here to get in touch with our powerful creative nature. And the more we clear out the old stuff and get the static out of our fields, get our surroundings, you know, the way, like using everything that we have available to us for our conscious co-creation becomes our focus, you know? So you have subconscious things going on around you all the time. You know, If there are a series of books over here, you're always picking up on what those books are. If you have some pictures over here, you're always picking up on those pictures. So this is a really amazing time to look around you and see if the things that you're looking at, that's marketing space. That's your own marketing space to your subconscious mind that's creating your reality. How are you using your marketing space to yourself? You know, do you have a bunch of books out that, like, where you can see them, that are things that you like for some reason, but it's not really what you're working on? Get those books behind the other books and get the ones that are actively in your field that you want to create, so that your subconscious mind is picking up, oh, hey, she wants that. That's what she's working on, you know? Same thing with pictures, same things with piles of stuff, coherence in your field. If you want more coherence in your field, you have to have coherence in your environment so that you're constantly picking up on those things, because they're sending marketing messages to you all the time that are continuing to keep you where you're at. So if you want genuine inner and outer movement, use this time to pay special attention to how you're using your marketing space for yourself. And one other piece about this. I recently came into contact with the work of Mike Dooley. I had heard of him many moons ago when I listened to The Secret, but I never looked into his work. And it came to me, it just came right in front of me recently. And I'm very big on manifestation and working with it. I help people to do this all the time, and I'm very active with it myself. But there was a piece of information that came to me that I wanted to share with you because it's really, really cool and it's really relevant. Many spiritual seekers are asking the question, how, if I'm supposed to be in the present moment, can I use the creative visualization and focusing on things being how I want them to be? Isn't that contrary to being with how they are? And yeah, that is a challenge, and that is a seemingly unanswered question that Mike Dooley has answered very nicely. So he says that when you are creating through visualization and feeling something as if it's coming true, which is a practice that absolutely works, you only need to do it for a short amount of time every day. He marks his he sets his alarm for 4 minutes, because after that, you know, you start to wander and you daydream and whatever, and then it becomes ineffective. But for about 4 minutes, you know, we don't have very long attention spans for the most part. So for 4 minutes, if you can every day feel the future you want, feel the relationships you want, feel what it would be like to be out of debt, feel what it would be like to go on a vacation that you want to go on, feel what it would be like to have your new car, etc. Get all the details in your mind, get all the details in your feeling, feel it for 4 minutes. And then go be present with what is in your life. Go be with and accept and roll around in and enjoy and work with what is real now. And that is the way that you can balance those two spiritual principles that are before us that seemed to be in conflict. So, happy manifesting. I want to talk more about what dates are really great for what energies are coming in, things I think you should know about all the transits that are happening, and this amazing trine between Uranus and Saturn that is going to help with these crossroads to bring harmonious transitions for these big things that are pending for us. So I'm calling the theme of the month of May for all signs, movement and manifestation to the max. This is the month that we have been waiting for through all of the retrograde cycles that started at the end of 2016. So there are definitely going to be major opportunities for the launches, for the trips, for the action, for the activity, for the big decisions. And we have some really amazing transits that line up with this clearing of the retrogrades. So I'll just go in order about the notable dates and the transits on those dates. Do know that when you sign up for my free email newsletter on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, I do a general write-up for the month ahead, so that you have a lot of the points that I talk about written down, and you know it's easier to refer to for your planning purposes. So you can check that out too. So on May 3rd, this is the day that Mercury goes direct, and Mercury goes direct at 24 degrees of Aries. So if you have any planets close to there, of course, you'll be affected more than others or in aspect to them to that degree. But everyone will likely experience more chaos around the days that Mercury goes direct. So it would be a false idea to think, oh, today Mercury is direct, now today or tomorrow I will go and do all these things and make all these decisions and try to get all this stuff done. You'll feel it when you pay attention that the energies are very chaotic the days before and the days after a planet goes retrograde, or the days before or the days after it goes direct. So I'd say give it a few days, several days after the 3rd, before you start taking action. I know your little horsey's chomping at the bit, waiting through 5 months of retrograde energies to try to do things, but do wait just a little longer. On May 9th, we've got the first day that I consider really, really good to start doing some things. You have to feel in to see if your launches or things like that would be good on this day, but I like a little bit later in the month because the shadow energies start to clear more. But this is certainly a day when the sun in Taurus makes a trine to Pluto in Capricorn, where you have tremendous power aligning with your desires. So you could, just feel into it. This could be a day to do some of the things on your list. On May 10th, we have the full moon at 20 degrees of Scorpio, and at the same time, we have a Uranus and Mercury conjunction. So full moons usually bring fullness, completion, drama. Sometimes they bring happy tears, sometimes they bring stress, but there is this fullness, this completion, this coming to fruition of anything in the area of Scorpio. So something having to do with an intimate relationship, a business partnership, a financial relationship or agreement, something with esoteric studies. Many people can have major spiritual transformation that occurs at this time, or insights that occur. If someone is doing research or looking into a mystery, sometimes this energy can bring answers that you've been looking for, that you've been delving deep, searching for. The fact that Uranus and Mercury are going to make this conjunction at the same time always alerts me to watch your head and your brain, because Uranus in Aries, Uranus brings surprises, it could bring jolts. Mercury is like your movement, and it just always behooves us to guard your head, especially during this time, especially since the full moon is bringing excess of drama and emotions. And sometimes, everybody knows that people get a little more crazy at the full moon, right? Even people that don't believe in astrology know that that's true. So I like to leave a little space around the full moons so that whatever comes up, you can be fully present for them. So that's May 10th, the full moon in Scorpio. On May 11th, we have a square with Mars in Gemini to Neptune in Pisces. And so how I see this energy coming together as a potential is information overload, action overload, things to do, just kind of energy and movement combining with chaos and confusion, so this might be a day to step back. I always like to remind you that even though I give you the dates of the transits, sometimes we feel the energy of the planets coming together on the days before or the days after the actual transit. So you really need to feel in with your intuition if a day is good for something. Just because we say today is a good day in the cosmos, if you're having a bad day that day and things are not flowing for you, maybe you don't want to align with trying to make a big decision or do something on that day just because it happens to be a quote good transit. Sometimes you'll feel the good energy days before, so if you're feeling it, everything is aligning. You don't have to necessarily wait for the exact day the transit happens. If it's a positive transit, you can take advantage of that energy when you feel it beforehand as well. So I just wanted to point that out. So this Mars in Gemini and Neptune in Pisces aspect could bring some action and information overload. So just kind of draw back a little bit. That is the other thing to know about this month. Although there are definitely energetic clearings going on, the planets are going direct that were retrograde, the shadows, or at least Mercury is, the Venus retrograde shadow transit is going to be over this month. We'll talk about that later. Mercury retrograde transit or shadow will be over later. There's this clearing out going, kind of opening up some room for action and things to happen. But this energy is interspersed with these little challenging moments. So you really just have to feel your way through to see which is a good time to do what and to take best advantage of the good energy when you're feeling it. Okay, so also on May 11th, Mercury in Aries is going to make a trine to Saturn and Sag. And so this energy is really good for good news and forward movements, especially on long-term projects. So the fact that it's so close to the full moon and this other aspect with Mars and Neptune, you just have to feel your way through. Feel when you're feeling that good energy flowing, then jump on that and take your actions at that time. On the 14th, the nodes, I started talking about the North and South node in transit last month in the April report. The North node in transit shows us keys to our highest expression. And right now, on May 14th, the nodes change to the polarity of Leo and Aquarius. And so when the North node is transiting in Leo, it's pointing for all of us to have more energy towards following our bliss. That's what Leo energy is about, is living in this constant manifestation of these true desires. A true desire is not necessarily a chocolate cake, or a purse or something like that. The true desires, the ones that spirit wants for us, aligns for us. And who knows, maybe a purse or a chocolate cake could be part of that if it's part of something bigger for somebody. I have no judgment on the desires. We just have to be careful that addictions don't cloud the way of true desires that spirit wants for us, So when we really, really, really want something, it's usually because spirit really, really wants that for us. And when we align our energies with where spirit is directing us, we become an unstoppable force for manifestation. So with the transiting node moving into Leo, we're all going to have years of support for following our bliss. It reminds me of the quote by Joseph Campbell. If you haven't studied his work, he's amazing. He basically, this is, loosely, he talks about how when you follow your bliss, doors open that weren't there before. Not even doors necessarily that were closed, just like doors open from places where there just weren't any doors. When you follow your bliss, you align with that energy, you supercharge yourself for manifestation. So this is really good news for me for assisting everyone in following that bliss, because the universe is really supporting this at this time. So on May 18th, we have a nice angle between the Sun in Taurus and Chiron in Pisces. Chiron is an asteroid, it's the wounded healer. And it talks about how our weak spots can actually be our greatest strengths. So when we have a nice angle here, it's showing us that we have a chance to easily convert a weakness to a strength. That's what Chiron to me is all about. So when you have something at a nice angle to it, it means that conversion can be relatively easy. When you have Chiron in a challenging angle, then that conversion can be a little bit stressful. But this is like a nice little sweet spot here, in the middle of the month, where something that was serving to hinder you actually serves as your springboard. So around May 19th, we have this amazing long-term story, beautiful aspect between Saturn and Sagittarius and Uranus and Aries. So we've talked about outer planets, how when they get together, they create these long-term challenges, which could be opportunities or just straight opportunities. So this is just straight up opportunity for harmonious transitions. The first time Saturn and Uranus came together in this configuration in recent times was December 24th of 2016. So here now, May 19th, is our second run of this story. And then the third run they'll connect again on November 11th. And they won't come together again like this until 2047. So this is a really rare aspect, and it is one that is a theme for the whole year from the end of 2016 through the end of 2017. And this month of May, and actually for the end of April, all of May, and almost half of June, Saturn and Uranus are in this amazing close proximity that's just opening doors, just like we were talking about for following your bliss. So it's really supercharged. And so the energies are also both in fire. And fire means action. If you know anyone or you have a lot of fire energy of your own, this is an action-oriented energy. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do it? Let's do something. So when you have these outer planets in this wonderful aspect, they want to help you do something really big. So this is the type of energy that's amazing for all huge transitions, like major crossroads. Changes in all areas of life are very much supported. And now that we have the personal planet retrogrades clearing up is really opening up the way for these changes that have been pending to really start to manifest. The same day, May 19th, we have this opposition with Venus in Aries to Jupiter in Libra. This is the opposition that I worry least about in general, because Venus and Jupiter are the two benefics, the nice planets basically of the zodiac. So when they get together, even in an ornery angle, it's not as much of a challenge or an issue as oppositions with other planets are, because they kind of like each other, So I could see two main possible manifestations from this. Of course, there are unlimited manifestations, but one could be overindulgence in fun. So just excess of fun, spending, partying, whatever. That is more common at this time, just having way too much fun. And the other way I can see this happening is a burnout from balancing me and we. Like you could be getting in a really good groove with tending to your own things and tending to your stuff with relationship. Because Aries and Libra are this, this polarity of me and we. So you could just be burnt out from balancing me and we, and that could be how it manifests. And this same day on May 19th is when the Venus shadow period from the retrograde passes completely. So ever since April 15th, when Venus went direct, we've been in this shadow period where even though it was moving forward, it was kind of still getting back to full strength. So now on this day, it's back at full strength, and we're not going to have to work with this for, a long time till the end of 2018, as far as the Venus retrograde goes. On May 21st, the Mercury shadow clears. So in that time between, the first few days after Mercury goes direct, so May 3rd, after that, I'm saying like May 9th is a good time to start, pushing some things forward. From May 9th until the 21st, you're still having a little bit of shadow stuff to deal with, but it doesn't mean you can't get some stuff done. But now, as of the 21st, you have this completely open period from personal planets retrograde or their shadow periods until July 24th. So make the most of your taking action, doing things, going places, making decisions, moving forward. Then on May 25th, we have the new moon at almost 5 degrees of Gemini. New moons always bring new opportunities, and the more you make your wishes in alignment with the energy of the sign, the more the universe can help them come true. So you get 10 new moon wishes. You can check out my blog called Making Powerful New Moon in Gemini Wishes, or you can just go to anniehelpsyou.com, click on blog, and then put a search for new moon in Gemini, and you'll find it. So you can see the types of things that are Gemini related that you can wish for that help to push your wishes even further. That new moon is also squaring Pluto. So there could be some challenges with people, authority figures, or unknown pieces, or some sort of forces that seem to be working against you. This is one of those examples this month, as I was saying, there's like all these energies moving forward, but they're like little hindrances, little obstacles in the way. So if you're feeling a little bit of a pushback, then just honor the flow and just wait until you're feeling the flow move forward again, instead of pushing against it. On May 28th through the 29th, Mars in Gemini is going to be opposing Saturn in Sagittarius. So this could be another one of those hiccups in progress where, Saturn, this taskmaster, comes in and opposes Mars, this planet that wants to move forward and take action. It's like a little bit of, hey, you have to do something with your responsibility here, or here's a little piece you didn't keep up with that you have to take care of before you can continue spiraling forward. And it is very much a spiraling energy because the energy of Gemini moves in an upward spiral. So you'll notice this month is just full of, even though we have energy in Taurus as well, which is more grounded, there's more of a predominant energy in like the Aries and Gemini, which is like making everything spin, busyness, lots of information, lots of talking, lots of thinking, lots of doing, lots of going places. So then on May 30th, Mars and Gemini will make a nice angle to Uranus, and this is a really great day to put a brilliant plan in action. Uranus rules taking chances, taking risks, doing something forward thinking, and Mars again rules action. So when they come together in a nice angle, this gives really good support for taking a brilliant idea and putting it into action. On the 31st, Mercury in Taurus will make a lovely trine with Pluto in Capricorn. So this is like grounded action fueled by emotional or lesser seen support. Pluto is stuff in the backdrop. It could be spiritual, mystical stuff. It could be, a person or an entity with money that is supporting you. But it's something that is positively expressing or positively supporting your expression at this time. So these are the things that are most on my mind. Again, the theme this month is movement and manifestation to the max. I hope that this helps you to take more advantage of the opportunities that will be at play this month. If you haven't already signed up for my free email newsletter, then definitely do that on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, because you get the write-up of the month that's coming. I always send that out a month early, just like I do the horoscopes a month early, so that you can prepare. And some people need to see things more than just hear them, and that written report will give you information in a visual way. Also, I might have some slots still open in my Creating Successful Online Business if you'd like to be free from your geography. I'm not yet enrolling for my astrology apprenticeship program and my coach certification course, but it's coming soon when I will be. So if you think you might be interested in those courses, they do fill up quickly. You can go to my website and click on anniehelpsyou.com, click on Work With Me, and send me an email through where it says this class is full and in progress. If you send me an email through there, I'll put you on the list to have first chance at open slots when they come, if you're really interested in working with me. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.